Hello and welcome to the Chip Off the Old Block Toys, or maybe I should have said May the 4th be with you, because that's the reason I'm doing this live stream. This set right here just came out. It is simply the Star Wars sign, and it's set 75407. It has 700 pieces, and we're going to go ahead and get started. This thing is not a very big set. It's a little bit under a foot in width, and oh, looks like I forgot to do something. Let me take care of that camera. All right, that camera's taken care of. And hello, Greg. Hello, Hoarder. Let me go ahead and switch my camera. All right, let's get started on the build. I've got a lot to tell you guys because there's been a lot that's been going on. And hello, Mrs. Chip. So let's start off with the elephant in the room. I recently got asked on one of my older videos, what happened to me? I've gone dark. And yes, sure indeed, I did go dark. And part of that was because of the move. And the other part of it was because of a terrible thing that happened. And hello, Timmy. How you doing? Lego Timmy. So what's so terrible that happened? Well, my son Spencer was involved in a one-person car accident where he rolled the vehicle. More on that later. I will talk about that. Unfortunately, my son was not wearing a seatbelt. And so when he rolled over, he has a serious head injury. And that was very scary at first. We didn't know what the long-term outcome was going to be. But now that it's been a few weeks since the accident, they do believe he's going to make a full recovery. And he has already made significant progress. So I don't believe there's going to be any long-lasting effects anymore like I thought at the first part of the accident. So that's the reason it's gone dark, because there's been a lot that's gone on. And it's really hard to, when something like that's going on, you've got police involved, you've got insurance companies involved, hospitals, his regular appointments, his job, my job. You got so many things involved. It's almost impossible to get on here and do anything. So, but we're not out of the woods yet. There's still some things that need to be taken care of. So I don't think I'll be making much content over the next couple weeks. And I hope you guys understand that. So let's get into a little bit about what happened. So I was at work. And while I was at work, we got yelled at that day. And the reason we got yelled at, and I kind of exaggerate that it really wasn't a full yelling or anything, but we did get a stern talking to, because in the row that I work in, there's a bunch of people that are much younger than me, and they're always on their phones. And a manager came around and said, "Hey guys, we're tired of this. You guys' productivity's down. I don't even want to see your phones." And so she told us to put the phones away. I totally get that. So I put my phone into my desk drawer and put it on silent. And maybe half an hour after I did that, I just really had a feeling that, hey, you need to check your phone. So I opened the desk drawer to peek at my phone, and I see a call from the sheriff's office where I live. And I couldn't answer it on the floor. That's a automatic write-up, by the way, if you answer a call on the floor. So I missed the call, but I went outside right away, and it's a really big building. By the time I got outside, a voicemail was already on my phone. I went ahead and checked the voicemail, and it was the sheriff, and all they said was, "Your son Spencer was involved in a rollover accident. There is a head injury. He's being taken to the hospital here where I live." So I know not everyone is a believer of God, and I apologize if this at all offends you, but I am a believer of God, so I cannot leave him out of this story. I do believe it was God that told me to look at my phone, even though I just got yelled at, or all of us got yelled at for looking at our phones. And also the amount of calm that I felt in such a situation is not normal for me. I normally can get pretty hot-headed, especially when things get emotional. And this was highly emotional, but yet I kept my cool. So as I was driving to the hospital, I realized that he's probably not going to be at that hospital. They're very small. In fact, they only have 6 beds. And so I tried to call the hospital. They didn't answer. So then I called another hospital that I know that's on the way home that is a trauma center hospital. I called them and said, hey, you know, this is what I've been told. Do you know if my son's on his way there? And the lady says, well, if the accident happened in Idaho, they're not going to cross state lines into Utah. They're going to take him to another hospital. And she told me which one. And so I called that hospital, and the lady says, well, because of privacy laws, I can't tell you. And I told her, I said, look, I said, I can appreciate that, but can you give me anything? I said, because I'm coming from, 2 hours away. That hospital is 2 hours away from my house. I said, can you give me anything? And she says, well, all I can tell you is he's not here yet. I knew what she was trying to say. She was saying he's on the way. So I headed to that hospital, and sure enough, he was at the hospital. They med flighted him from the small hospital here in my little town to the other town. And when I got there, instead of panicking, I was able to keep a level head on my shoulders. And it's a good thing I did, because his injuries were serious. He had open head wounds. Like I said, he was not wearing the seatbelt, and he flipped the vehicle. And so the head injuries were quite severe, and there was not an ounce of panic. I just knew that he'd be okay. I just had that feeling like he's going to be okay. Don't worry about it. And I was in that room. His younger sister, Amanda, arrived, and she lives 3 hours away, but she made it there, and they stitched him up, stapled him up. It took 15 staples and 14 stitches just to close the biggest wound. The other wounds, I think it was 13 stitches, not staples, for the secondary wounds. The big wound still had the staples. Anyway, so that all happened. I was a little annoyed with the doctor, because while in the room, I asked the doctor, I said, hey, can you get some painkillers, Because, after all, he just had a huge accident. And the doctor ignored me. Well, he's got a giant head wound. I was like, hey, can he get some antibiotics? Again, the doctor ignored me. So me and the doctor weren't seeing eye to eye, and I was kind of pissed off at him. Well, at Spencer's follow-up at a trauma clinic, that was the first thing I said. And I said, look, man, he ain't been able to sleep because he's in a lot of pain. Can you get some painkillers? And the doctor said, what? You didn't get any already? And I said, no. He checks the chart and he goes, oh, okay. Well, I don't have a problem throwing painkillers at this. So he got prescribed painkillers. Then I said, hey, what about antibiotics? He's got this big open wound on the back of his head, and also the ones on the front. And they said, well, first, the doctor's eyes got real wide. And the doctor's like, they didn't prescribe those? I said, no. And the doc said, yeah, you'll get some. So they end up prescribing 4 different, medicines. And anyway, another thing about me saying that this is related to God. Spencer didn't have insurance, and he was driving another guy's car that only had liability. And so there wasn't much in the way of insurance to help out with this accident. I live in a very small town, News Travels. And when I filled Spencer's 4 prescriptions, the only thing that I got charged was like $27. And that's without the insurance price. So the small town was very generous to me in him. And now to get into what happened. All right. So he was driving on an old country highway. And I mean, old country highway. It's actually called Old Highway. And I'm not going to say the number, but that's actually the name, is Old Highway something. And what had happened was, I don't know if he had a moment of not paying attention. I don't know that. But according to what we know from the police report, so you got this old highway. It's one lane each direction. And you've got this sheer cliff on the side here. And below it is an interstate freeway. Over here, on the other side, it's kind of mountainous. And then every now and again, you got a ravine. Well, he was going this way. And he was in the right lane and everything. The tires on the passenger side left the roadway. And the shoulder was so soft that it grabbed the tires. And it flipped him on his side. He slid, and right before he was supposed to hit that ravine and go down 300 feet, which probably would have been deadly, the car flipped over the roadway, and it landed on the other side of the highway. And you have to be there to know what I'm talking about. On the left side of the highway, most of it is a sheer cliff and straight down, and it's the interstate right here. Where he flipped is the only spot on that highway for miles that there is a shoulder. And again, this is soft, just like the other side. And so the impact wasn't as great as it could have been. And he landed on this side, and it's the only place for miles that has a shoulder at all. And the shoulder is just barely 2 car lengths wide. And so he flipped over the roadway and on the soft shoulder. And for someone not wearing a seatbelt, he should be a lot worse off. A lot worse off. And, you know, like I said, not trying to offend, but I do believe that this is the strongest case of I've ever heard of God saying, "This isn't your time, brother." And I firmly believe that's what the message was of the day, that day. So there's that. And we've been dealing with that. And like I said, the healing process has been slow, and decided, rightfully so. It's just one of those things that's going to take some time. And I will be on here when I can. I'm not sure how often that'll be, but as often as I can. And also, I've got some kind of bad news. With all the stuff that's been going on in the federal government, I will be out of a job as of June the 30th. Yeah. And hi, Ken. How you doing? Hi, John. And hi, Cajun Yeti. It's good to see you all on here. So, yeah. So that's also part of the equation, is that I will be out of a job here soon. I'm actually, I really hate to admit this, but in a very large way, I don't care that I'm losing my job. I feel like things happen for a reason. Sometimes it's because you're drunk and stupid. And no, I'm not referring to my son's accident. I'm just referring to a meme that I saw on the internet once. So I don't want you guys to conflate draw any connections there. There are none. That's just me being funny. But yes, I do believe everything happens for a reason. And in this particular case, I believe that I was supposed to be at the IRS for some reason for a few months. And whatever the reason is, I don't know yet. We'll see. The house is still for sale. We have had a few bites as far as people come to look. We haven't had anybody be so generous as to put an offer yet. But I have to admit, with the lack of time that I have, there are some minor things I'd like to do to the house to help it sell better, like paint part of the interior. So, all right. So here we go. So far, we've got the obvious R in Star Wars. Star and then Wars in here. But we'll keep going. We're on bag number 3. There's only 6 bags for this, so this is going to be a one and done stream, if you know what I mean. Mr. Yeti, if you've got time to be on here, I'd love to have you on here. If not, I totally understand. I appreciate the fact you're here. So let me know if you have a minute to hop on here, and if you do, I will send you an invite your way, sir. But the good news is, because I'm being let go, they are giving me a severance package, even though I've been there only a short time. I will be paid through September the 30th, which is, in my opinion, awesome. So, I understand, Yeti. So I am losing my job, but I get paid for 3 months after. So I guess I can look at it on the positive side, that it's kind of like getting paid to do my job search. I'm kind of hesitant to do my job search at the moment, because what happens if I have an employer that says, hey, we love you, can you start tomorrow? Well, I'd lose that severance package. So I'm not going to do it. I will wait until the dust settles to go looking for a job. So, oh, you're watching me on the road and I'm not driving. Well, I'm glad you're not driving, because we don't need that. I did hear a couple jokes. So in keeping with my sense of humor, I will tell you the jokes. The first one is, I came across a piece of erotic literature that I'd like to share with you. It's not very long, and it was a piece of erotic literature for premature ejaculation. And it goes like this. She looked at him, the end. So that's about as erotic as it gets. Hope you like that one. I've got more where that came from. And the other one is, and yes, they seem to be all about premature ejaculation today. And so one of the jokes I have is, premature ejaculation is a problem that seems to come out of nowhere. And Leighton, how you doing? It's been a while, man. And how's Enzo? He is doing wonderful. In fact, he's sitting over there instead of behind me today. He's kind of mad at me because I went to do my grocery shopping today, and I left him here because this time of year I can't bring him with me. It's too hot, and Utah law allows people to break your windows if you leave your pets in the car and they feel they're endangered. Well, I can see someone, whether he's endangered or not, busting my window just because they can, and they don't have to pay for it. So I didn't take him with me. So he's a little PO'd at me because he had to stay in the backyard while I was gone. I do have another one for you. And this one goes like this. I wanted to go to a support group for premature ejaculators. The problem is I didn't know which pants to come in. So anyway, all right, enough of those jokes. One of the side effects of this whole entire accident was that Mrs. Chip was able to get 10 days of emergency leave. And Mrs. Chip was able to be here to help with Spencer, which I really appreciate, because I wouldn't have been able to work. And I have zero vacation time. I've got zero leave of any kind, sick leave, anything. I've burned all that up. And boy, they say when it rains, it pours. Let me tell you about that. Right before Spencer's accident, I had an experience of my own that wasn't that fun. Well, first of all, I went to go see my daughter graduate. That was fun. My daughter graduated from the Marines. She's now a second lieutenant in the Marines. Very good accomplishment. Very happy with her. And anyway, when I was on the plane on the way there, there was a guy sitting right behind me in the row behind me. And he was just hacking up a lung and sneezing, and just like he was sick. And I asked if I could switch seats, and I was told I couldn't because the flight was completely full. So I just kind of had to sit next to the guy, right behind the guy who was sitting right behind me. I didn't like it, but what am I going to do? And this is important because I was only there 4 days. And when I was done and I was on my way flying back, I felt a little tickle in the back of my throat, like you get when you're getting a cold. and or strep throat, either one. And so when I started feeling that, that's where my mind went to. My mind went to, dang it, this guy got me sick. Well, he didn't what pants? Oh, well, I've heard that pants seem to be a problem for certain YouTubers this go around. Anyway, so I land, and well, by the time I got home that day, I had more than a tickle in my throat. It really was hurting, and I went to bed, and I woke up on Monday, and on Monday, oh, my throat was on fire. So I called the doctor's office to get an appointment, and they say, well, your doctor's booked today. Can we get you in tomorrow? Well, I guess so. I mean, if that's all they got, right? What am I going to do? There is no urgent care in my center or anywhere near me, by the way. So I was like, okay, tomorrow will do. So I go to the doctor on Tuesday. She tests me for COVID, the flu, strep throat, mono, all things come back negative. And so I'm like, oh my goodness, what's going on? And she's like, well, I don't know either, so why don't we get you some imaging done, and we'll figure that out. So I like that idea. So, oh, what did I do wrong? There we go. Sorry, I'm trying to talk and build at the same time. Doesn't exactly work for me very well. So I got the CT scan done on Wednesday, and I get it done on Wednesday, and I talked to the people at the doctor's office, and I said, when will I get the results? And she says, well, your doctor's not in today, so you won't get the results today unless you sign up for my patient app thing where you can view everything. So I talked to them on how to do it, and I signed up. And I decided to go to my truck and check it, make sure it was working before I left the parking lot. I live about 30 minutes away from this hospital. So I did all that. And before I even left the parking lot, amazingly, the CT scan results were there. I didn't understand what it meant, but I had my results. And so the very next day on Thursday, I get a phone call from my doctor's office, and they're like, you really need to see an ENT doctor like today. And they're like, are you available all day? And I said, yeah, I am. So during that time after they hung up, within a few minutes, my neighbor next door came to check on me, and he's like, hey, I haven't seen you for a couple of days. Everything okay? And I said, no. I said, I'm in a lot of pain. This is going on. And while he was here, the ENT doctor calls and says, hey, we can get you in today, but you got to be here. The appointment's in an hour. Well, I live an hour from the appointment. So my neighbor was really gracious, and he said, you know what? I'll give you a ride. And one thing I failed to mention was that my sore throat was so bad I couldn't eat, drink, or swallow very well, and I had lost 10 pounds in 4 days. I know losing weight's always fun and exciting, but not this way. So we get to the ENT doctor. The ENT doctor took one look down my throat, and he says, oh, we need surgery today. So he walked me across the hallway to another section of the hospital, and within an hour, I was on the operating table, and I had surgery. And what it was that I had 2 abscesses in my throat, on the lining of the inside of the throat, that were causing this immense amount of pain. And it's like a giant zit, I guess, on the inside of your throat kind of thing. And they just go in and they pop it. It's not a lifestyle problem. It's, in my case, I had infected lymph nodes really close to the lining of the throat, which caused the problem. I'm not trying to gross you out. That's what happened. And the doctor said to me, he said, well, you're going to be in pain for a few days after this. You're not out of the woods yet. He was wrong. To my delight, I didn't, after the surgery, didn't feel another ounce of pain. So that that worked out. So anyway, again, I think that the way things happened, I think the Lord was definitely with me. So, and I didn't have any vacation time, and my job was very gracious about it. And my job said, look, we understand. So go ahead and just take the time off and just come back as soon as you can. Which is why I really can't say much about what's going on with my son right now, because they just gave me a giant, I don't know what you want to call it. They were already generous with me, and I hate to push my luck. So my daughter Jessica was supposed to come out here yesterday, and she was supposed to be here for 2 weeks to help us out. Without going into too much detail, she backed out on us. So she is not here and will not be here, which I'm I'm very disappointed, because we could have definitely used the help. Oh, and Lighton says he's happened to you for, yeah. Boy. So you can literally say you felt my pain. No, I was kidding. I feel your pain, brother. Yeah. It is a pain in the butt, or throat, I guess. Yeah, that one's crazy. Did yours require surgery, if you don't mind me asking? And John says, I may need stitches tomorrow in my abdomen. What's going on with you, John? So yeah, it's the last couple weeks has been an adventure, to say the least. But I have to say, I'm not feeling down about anything. I feel like I said, I think that things just happen for a reason, and sometimes we gotta ride the wave to get to the other side, and that's kind of how I'm taking it right now. And yeah, and I hope that I will be able to find some time to do a little bit of painting on the interior of the house, because the walls. Okay, so how do I describe this? So kind of a little bit about the layout of my house so you can understand. There's a staircase that goes around. It's not a spiral staircase. It's made out of wood, but it goes down. It has a landing, and then if you go down to the basement, it's a mirror of that, just one floor down. So if you look down, it kind of looks like you're looking at a mini high-rise, because you can see a couple different floors. The walls around the stairs have been beat up pretty bad, just from not just me, but the people that used to live here before me, moving furniture and stuff. There's nicks, there's black marks from shoes, there's all kinds of problems. And I just think that it makes the house look a little bit dingy, and so I think that if we were to just paint that the walls around that whole entire staircase, I think that it would bring value to the home for just a very little bit amount of money spent. It'll mostly be time. So I'm hoping that I'll get the time here real soon to be able to do that. And if not, hopefully nobody decides to look at my house for the next couple of weeks until I can do it. So anyway, I should have thought about that before I put the house in the market, but I didn't. So I'm having to deal with that. And yeah, I think I already mentioned this, but Lighton said, yes, his required surgery as well. Greg is saying he's craving some Italian food right now. Awesome. What kind of Italian food? Anything specific? Any specific restaurant, for instance? Spencer and I went to Beto's on the way home from getting our grocery. So, okay, we do have the Star. And, of course, we're working on the Wars. So let me quit a yapping and get a tapping. Oh, my goodness. Lighten, that's horrible. The night before my surgery, I had a seizure and dislocated my shoulder. God, that sounds very painful. I've never had a seizure before, so I'm at a loss of what that's like. But that just in itself sounds bad enough. And then, did you dislocate your shoulder during the seizure? Because I have a friend who And I won't use his name because sometimes he does watch my streams. He sits right next to me at the IRS actually, and he was telling me that he had a seizure once where he almost bit off the tip of his tongue. He did not though, but he almost did. So I know seizures, from what I hear, can just be extremely awful, especially stuff like that. Yeah, that's what I thought it might have happened during the seizure. I'm so sorry to hear that. Bag number 5 out of 6 for those who are counting. And even if you're not counting, I'll just tell you. Okay, so we got those done. Okay, yes, we are there. John, Lighton says, or no, Greg, if I can just speak. Greg says, Carabuz's Italian Kitchen. Okay, I assume that's a local type of restaurant. Never heard of it. Yes, I'm trying to sell my house. A lot of remote jobs are going away, and the only reason I moved out this far was because I had a remote job. I was laid off from that remote job 1.5 years ago, and since then I've really had trouble finding a job where I can work from home, and the commute is really awful. The closest jobs I can get to me are an hour away or a little over an hour. And I really don't, you don't really have a good quality of life, because when you commute for that long and then you sit at work, number one, I'm gaining weight because I'm sitting a lot, and it's hard to exercise because when you come home, you don't have much time because the amount of time you spent on the road and then at work. So I don't feel that long term this will work. So I'm trying to get back. I'm not sure if I'm going to move back to the city all the way, but closer. There are a couple other towns that I could possibly move to that wouldn't be that bad. So I'm looking into a lot of different things. But I'm not looking too hard, to be honest with you, because, well, I haven't sold my house yet, so I'm not sure how much money I'm going to get. So I don't know what options are actually available to me just yet. I have some ideas. So when the dust settles, I will let you know how things shook out. And Mrs. Chip is saying, how do you like this build? I like it a lot. I know it's kind of a simple little Star Wars sign, kind of thing, but honestly, I think it's cool. They did the Lego one, the Lego movie one, and then they did a Avengers, I think it was, or was it Marvel? I can't remember. But they've done a couple of these other signs. I didn't get any of the other ones, but because I am such a Star Wars fan, and in fact, if you see my shirt, it has a picture of an AT-AT Walker, and then it says "Not today." So yes, I'm a huge Star Wars fan. Lighton is saying, are you going to build a new Lego barn when you move? That is part of the plan. I'm trying to see if that'll work out. One of the things that was frustrating, now I like this property, so don't get me wrong, but that is one of the things that was just really challenging about moving here, was that it did have the barn. The problem is it was such in bad shape. I have spent probably close to, I want to say 10 to 15 grand on that building alone. And so I kind of would, if I could, be able to start with a blank slate, plan for electricity in it from the beginning instead of an afterthought. And same thing with having climate control in it as well. So we'll see. But that is one of the things that I am trying to consider to see if it can work out. And Greg asked, am I looking forward to a Texas life? Yes, Texas is right now the plan of where I'm going to go, mainly because, well, I was kind of already thinking about Texas anyway, but what solidified it was Spencer's accident with Mrs. Chip there in Texas. I think that helps out with any recovery that's going to happen. And in addition, I do have my granddaughter there close by, and she's going to be without her mother for the next year and a half, as her mom is in training for the Marines. So I want to be close enough to her because, well, I don't mean to brag, but I've probably been the strongest type of father figure in her life since the beginning, and now she's turned 7 this year. So I think it's really important that I'm there. So be ready for snow always, especially around here, man. We actually had a mild winter this last winter, to be honest, but my first winter was not mild here. It was, why is that? Why is it doing that? It doesn't. Oh, there we go. It didn't want to attach itself, but it did. So yeah, it's there's a lot of options on the table, and I feel like, like I said, I'm a believer in God, and I pray about things, and I can tell you that in my prayers, I just feel like everything's going to be okay. It's going to work out. I don't know what that looks like exactly, but I do feel like it will work itself out, whatever it is. So, and I think that in the end, I'll be okay because I've just had an overwhelming feeling of peace, like everything's going to be okay. And so I'm just going to go with it and not question it for now. Granted, there will have to be some follow-up as choices and, as choices become available and things happen, decisions will have to be made. So be ready for snow. Well, I don't know. Not in Texas. Not unless we get dumped. They get dumped on again like they did this last year, which doesn't happen very often. But yeah, I'm ready for anything. We get snow here all the time. And Greg, good question. What about the younger granddaughter? Well, unfortunately, I can only be in one place at one time. So since I know Asia a lot better, and Asia and I are close, she's the one I'm going to focus on. It's not that I don't care about my other granddaughter. It's just we don't have that close of a relationship because she has lived far away from me the whole entire time that she's been on this earth, the whole entire 2 years. I did see my granddaughter at I saw both granddaughters at my daughter's graduation. And if you're friends with me on Facebook, I've actually posted those pictures there. And yeah, my daughter, when she got pinned second lieutenant, they put a bar on each of the collar shoulders. And yeah, each daughter got a pin one on her. It's pretty cool. Enzo, don't do that. You scared me, dude. Such a twerp sometimes, that dog. Do I hope for a bigger city? I have no idea. Do I hope for it, though? Yes, very much so. And in fact, I've had this little idea percolating in my head recently. But dang it, I really want to share what it is, but I have to be honest with you, I'm not comfortable yet because there's just too many pieces in motion. And I'm not really sure I want to divulge everything yet, but I do have some big plans. I do have some very big plans. And what just happened here? I don't know. It's like that saying, what in the Kentucky Fried F happened here? It's definitely how I'm feeling at the moment. Okay, we've got one last bag, guys. Bag number 6, and we are done. So may the 4th be with you. By the way, good question for y'all. what is your favorite Star Wars movie? I won't give my answer right off because I don't want to influence anybody. I want to hear from you guys what your favorite Star Wars movie is. And in a minute or two, I will reveal my favorite of the Star Wars movies. But Lighten, yes. I have a rough sketch that I've done of what I want the city to look like. And I kind of don't want to reveal it. Well, I don't want to reveal it. And I know it's kind of mean of me to, kind of put the teaser out there and then say, "Oh, I'm not gonna share it." Well, the reason I won't share it is, and I won't use any names. There's one channel in particular. He's a lot larger than I am, and I'm not making any claims that I know that this is happening. Okay, but what I have noticed is, whenever I say something like, "Hey, I'm going to do this," I've noticed a short time later he announces he's going to do it, and he does. And he's got more money than I do. And he's got a staff working for him, so he can do it better than I can. And I don't want to be giving any more ideas to him if I am the one giving him ideas. So I'm going to keep my mouth shut for now on what those plans are until I get myself in a position where I can actually start working on them. And then it's too late for him if he's doing that. Because I don't know. It could be merely coincidence. Although I have a hard time believing in coincidence. I am your father. Well, that'd be interesting, John. Greg says episode 5, which is The Empire Strikes Back. All right. And Lighten says Attack of the Clones. And John says Empire Strikes Back. My favorite is actually the first one. Well, which is actually episode 4. A New Hope, which, if you guys didn't know, most of you probably do, it wasn't released as A New Hope. It was released as Star Wars. And then later on, they went back and renamed it A New Hope. So, anyway, just a little trivia there for you. And that is my favorite movie because that's the first one I've ever seen. And that's the one that introduced me into the Star Wars universe. And it came out when I was just a wee one. But I remember watching it several times. In fact, I've probably seen Star Wars over A New Hope. I've probably seen it over 100 times. And you guys probably remember this. Back when there was VHS tapes. Sometimes you can get a bootleg copy of that, of movies. And I cannot confirm or deny whether my parents had a bootleg copy of Star Wars A New Hope. But I can say I saw it several times and it wasn't in the theater. So you do the math, you make the dots, however you want to connect those. Yeah, I've seen Star Wars many a times in the comfort of my living room. And yes, I remember trying to reenact some of the things that happened in Star Wars. And well, let's just say I'm glad I didn't injure myself a few times because I very well could have. Maybe you might even argue should have. Okay. By the way, I don't have time to get into it today, but if you haven't heard, there's a lot of set that's been announced this week. A lot of new sets. And oh boy. Oh, okay. Well, there you go. If money is available, I'll get them. I did get Jango Fett's Starship, as they're calling it. Slave something. Yeah, anyway. I did get that set. Has not arrived yet. If I have time to build it on camera, I will. I also got the helmets, the AT-AT driver helmet. I also got the Kylo Ren helmets. And dang, the other one slipped in my mind on what it is. The one that just came out too. Anyway, I got all the 3 Star Wars helmets. You've seen the Christmas special you got off Sketchy Means. VHS is the bet. Well, Chip should idea live stream so we can help you share idea for yourself. And I will have a big reveal eventually. I'm just so far off from being able to do anything because right now it makes no sense to even work on the city because the fact that I'm probably going to have to tear it down when I move. So, but yeah, believe me, I do want to share it, and I wished. Well, first of all, I wished I had all the funding to do it. I don't have that funding at the moment. Okay. Oh, well, it helps if I put the right one. And now that's dumb. Well, I guess I'm the dumb one because I put it on the wrong spot. Let me put it on the right spot so it fits. Okay. I have not seen that Lighten. Have you seen Granny Oh man, I cannot pronounce that. It's animated Star Wars. I have not. I have seen episodes of Star Wars Chicken. Okay, guys, we're done with the set. 700 pieces. Took us about 45 minutes. A little bit shorter of a stream. I thought it was going to take longer. But here you go, guys. This is done. May the 4th be with you. Thanks for being here with me. If you would, subscribe, hit the like button, check and make sure you're still subscribed. Otherwise, have a great rest of your night, and I'll catch you guys later.